entering the fourth quarter. 21-17, Philly loses at home against the Denver Broncos. Now 4-1 on the season. Philly suffers their first loss this year and their first since hoisting that Lombardi.
Well, thanks a lot.
We promise to get your reaction from the field here shortly. Joe Musso pleased to be alongside Bryant McFadden to dive into what we saw there, Mac. And heading into the fourth quarter, it's feeling like Philly's going to hang another one of those ugly wins in the win column, improve to 5-0, complain about how everything's wrong. But now you really get to assess what is wrong with you after letting this one slip in the fourth. What changed?
They have no identity. And the thing about not having an identity, it's been that way for Philly the entire season, but they've been finding ways to win ball games considering all the ugly natures that have been tied to those said ball games. When you look at the first game, 4-point win against the Dallas Cowboys. The next week, 3-point win against Kansas City. The next week, 7-point win. And then, of course, last week, a 6-point win. They've been playing around with their food, like Joe mentioned. And guess what happened? They got caught today. They played against a team that was feisty, that was competitive, and they found a way to get back into this ball game, and they won. Philly in the fourth quarter, you had a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter. No way in the world, being the Super Bowl champions at home, should you lose this ball game. But because they don't have an identity, they didn't know how to close the ball game out. Remember a year ago when you look at that storied championship run by the Eagles? They had the ultimate closer in their backfield in Saquon Barkley. When you have a lead for the majority of a ball game, why in the world does Saquon only have 6 carries? And I understand they were neutralizing the running game, to say the least. But so what? He is too good to not be patient with the running game, especially when you have a double-digit lead in the second half. Get 2-6 going.
Let's talk about what's in front of him, because Landon Dickerson injured in this one. You have a new guard piece as well from last year with Mekhi Becton having left. How big is Jeff Stoutland's group in the ultimate success of Saquon? They took so much pride in running for just about 2,000 yards a season ago. What are you seeing in front of him and what's not working right now?
Well, the continuity is not there in just the massive guys they had. I don't understand why Howie did not sign Mekhi Becton back. I felt like he was one of the main under-the-radar contributors for their running game, especially when they ran behind him. When you talk about having Landon Dickerson, who's 6'6", 6'7", 350, and Mekhi Becton, who's around the same height and might be a tad bit bigger but extremely athletic, keep those guys together. But you moved on. And now when you look at the continuity or the lack thereof, it's been exploited. It's been exploited, especially when you try to run in between the tackles. But I can care less, Joe. Saquon Barkley is too good of a player to not be patient with him when it comes to the running game. Because yes, you can have Saquon bottled up for 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters. All he needs is a crease. You saw what happened in the passing game today. You got him out in space on the linebacker, a splash play happened. They got to create an identity. But it was only a matter of time before they got caught. You know what, growing up, Joe, I had a little dog, my little puppy, his name was Bo. Right? And I was a little kid, of course, and I used to let Bo run out in the yard all the time. My uncle used to say, hey, you better get that dog. He keep running back and forth across the street. I said, no, Bo's gonna be okay. One day I was looking at He-Man, cartoon He-Man, right? And I heard Bo. I looked, Bo had messed around and got hit. Bo didn't die, but he got hit. You know why? Because I kept letting Bo run across that street. That's what the Eagles been doing all year long. Running across the street, winning in ugly fashions, barely getting by, but still finding ways to win. In the National Football League, when you keep playing around and running across that street, eventually you will get hit. They got hit today. Let's see, as they rehab, what happens the next time they try to run across that street. Bo didn't die, he lived, but I learned my lesson.
I appreciate that metaphor, life imitating art in this one. I'm glad you invoked Bo.
Yeah.
Thoughts with your Bo, but on this day, Bo Nix was solid again here in the second half. Seems like we maybe rolled out some challenges in front of him after the way that this season started. The last 2 starts condensed in prime time against the lesser defense in the Cincinnati Bengals, but then you go on the road to Philly and you keep your group in it. That's coach, but that's also quarterback. How did Bo Nix grade out in this one?
Bo played good football. I think when you look at the success for Bo individually speaking, expectations were pretty high for him coming into year 2. The same can be said for a second-year quarterback in Jayden Daniels. We saw you play good football. We're expecting you to take off. But we saw some growing pains, to say the least, and that's just the nature of the league. When they get a full year of tape on you, they are better equipped to try to slow you down. But what we're seeing from Bo Nix the last few weeks, Bo Nix is starting to get in his bag, and also the young leadership that he is showcasing for the organization. Because when you look at them being down double digits in the second half, you're playing against the Super Bowl champions. It's easy for a team with a young quarterback to kind of go in the tank and say, "Let's get ready for next week." They never looked at this game in that way. They felt like they could find a way to get back into the ball game, and Bo Nix was making things happen. And what about J.K. Dobbins? I don't know what it is about J.K. Dobbins, but teams just get the best out of J.K. Dobbins and they just let him go. And guess what? He finds a new team and he gives you great numbers. Once again, he was the catalyst of their running game, over 130 yards as a team on the ground, and he was the main guy that got things going. And their defense had 6 sacks on Jalen Hurts. 6 sacks. The Eagles were 2-11 on third down. So when you talk about the complementary football they have offensively and defensively, they made the playoffs last year. I think they got more than a strong fighting chance.
What does that tell you about a team, the way they're being coached and the way that Indy has responded in those moments?
Their ability to not put forth 2 bad outings. That's what good teams usually do. And the issue for Indianapolis in years past was just being consistent. I think we're starting to see that consistent stride be implemented throughout their locker room. Because when you look at the Indianapolis Colts, guys, let's keep it real. They're 2 mishaps away from that ball game last week of being undefeated. Because if you look at the A.D. Mitchell fumble going across the goal line, if you look at the holding call that brought back a touchdown, either one of those plays converts for Indy. They're undefeated right now. And they played a very, very tough team on the road in the Los Angeles Rams. So when you look at what the Indianapolis Colts are right now, it starts and it stops with their lead singer, Indiana Jones. Very, very efficient day. The volume wasn't there, but I love this meme in terms of what he had to do throwing the football. 20 of 29, 212, 2 touchdowns. But get this, they were 8 of 10 on third downs. They were perfect in the red zone, 6 for 6 in the red zone. That's real efficient, clean football. Not to mention JT, what he's done smoothly in a timely way in running the football. And also, they're getting him involved in the passing game. So this is a defense, I think when you look at their defense, Joe, they don't have some of the household names that we've grown accustomed to cheering for. But they got guys that understand their role, they embrace their role, and they make things happen today. Get 2 big-time interceptions on Geno Smith. To your point, Geno has 9 interceptions to go so far this season. And what Indy does is they put you in uncomfortable positions on the football field, and they force you to play the game with your left hand when you're a right-handed player. And usually that works in their favor, and that's what we've seen thus far in this first quarter of the season.
It's a secondary that knows how to take the ball away as well. You add those 2 things up, and you get something like this. Mac, you talked about the quality of their loss against L.A. Talk to me about the quality of their wins, because I'm looking at the Dolphins, I'm looking at the Broncos, I'm looking at the Titans, and now I'm looking at the Raiders. The Broncos obviously is going to be a tough out for anybody this season, but have you seen enough to open your heart to Indianapolis, this current version of them, as a real playoff contender in your eyes?
I have. You know, initially when I looked at Indy, I felt like they were a bully that